The Libyan Digest.
The Libyan Digest is brought to you by the Libyan Observer.
Hello and welcome everyone to a new episode of our program, The Libyan Digest. So this is a new episode of our program, The Libyan Digest, as usual. In every episode we have a topic to discuss. We have something to highlight relating Libyan affairs. So welcome everyone. So this is the seventh episode, as I have mentioned, how to start over and reboot your life when it seems too late. Have you ever heard about this, the common sayings, change is the only constant? Everyone, without a doubt, goes through changes in their lives, whether it be a physical state of literal aging or a mental state of emotional maturity or regression. In some cases, they all nonetheless signify change, yet some of us seem to embrace it better than others. Sorry. Or have you ever been in a situation where you know that things just aren't working out, whether it's in your personal relationships or career development? You are feeling somewhat stuck and unhappy with the way things are. Then for sure you need that change, yet you're afraid to make that conscious decision to move because perhaps you're not even sure of what is that you need to change, or you're afraid it's too late to have a fresh start, to begin again. Or you might have been with the same company for the last 5 years in the same position, doing the same things, and it's not that you dislike your work, but the thought of doing the same thing for the next 5 or 10 years scares you. You want to do more, or perhaps even something completely different altogether. So yes, how to start over and have the life you want. This is our podcast for today. We are going to discuss our topic for today with our friend who works in the humanitarian sector, Mr. Ali Abdullatif. Thank you at the beginning for accepting our invitation, and you are welcome, of course.
Thank you, Amin. Thank you for having me, and it's my pleasure to be here, and thank you.
Yes, you are welcome. Starting over from where we are going to start in our topic for today.
Okay. I think the topic is really interesting. I mean, because personally, I'm really interested in matters that are related to our psychology, to our mindsets, issues that, I mean, show us how we deal with ourselves dealing with life. So I think starting over or starting new is a social trend that humans usually do for different reasons. I personally, for example, think that we should always start new if the path we're going through is not providing us with any added value. It's not getting us anywhere where we want to be, even if we don't know where we want to be. But when you notice that this path or this, whether it's your line of work, whether it's the people you hang out with, whether it's where you live, we have to have the bravery to decide that we have to start over.
Start over, yes. In Libya, let's say we have a lot of issues, and we have a lot of difficulties and problems relating the social status and the social relationships, the social or the values that has a strong bond with the social community and social life in general. So one of the points you have mentioned earlier, that you have to take the decision in order to start over. In what way should the individual take the decision in order to start over? What are the needs in order for the individual to start over, especially here in Libya?
Okay, I think you need two things in order for you to start over, and that's my humble opinion. What you need is a good motive or motivation for what you're doing, and you need basics or principles, so you know where you're going, why you're changing. Because for example, if you don't want, if you think that the people you're hanging out with are, let's say, toxic, they're not good for you in whatsoever matter. So this is a good motive for you to change the people you hang out with, or your friends, whatever you call them. And the second thing is that you need principles to know what type of people you need to be around. That's just an example, but I think these are the two major things you need to decide, because it's something that that touches upon your lifestyle and your how you want to pursue your life. So it's an important question, and it needs good motives.
Yes, so I think starting over is a good value, and we can call it as a skill. What do you think about the role of family? Should they raising their children about the skill, making them able to start over when they get old and stuff like that? So what's the role of the family in this point?
I think the family has a big role in upbringing their children, and okay, maybe it's let's say parents are overblamed for the behaviors of their children, but I think it's really important that I don't think it's a skill that parents would teach their children, but as we said earlier, that for us to have principles is something that our parents teach us and raise us through how we should make the decisions that is good for us, for our social life, professional life, and so on. So it's something that we develop later, that when we feel that we need to get out of our comfort zone and all and make a decision. But I don't think that parents usually teach their children to change, because usually they go in a certain line that they think their children is going to follow. But I think it's more of a rebellious decision that people make to have a change, and it's usually unexpected, and it's like a revelation that at certain point, as if something tells you that we need to change this. This is too much for me to take, or this is not getting me any good, and I have to make a change. So I think it's more of something that we develop later on. We rarely are taught to make changes when we're young.
And in our community and in our country, especially nowadays, we have a lot of problems, and we have gone through a lot of difficult times, especially during the war. Also the frustration that we have nowadays during the pandemic. We have people who has fought in Tripoli for 1 year, so they need to start over. They need to get back to their previous lives. Your advice maybe for those, from where they should start?
Okay, so I think this decision is usually majorly impacted by our humanly capacity to adapt to the situations that we are in, because the bigger the decision, the stronger of a will that we need to have to make this change. So I think this decision depends on the personalities, or varies from one personality to another in terms of how willing they are to go back to normal from whatever different environment they have been in. So I think what someone needs to make, or to start new and start over, whether it's a lifestyle, whether it's even a business, is the motive that there needs to be a change. We have to this plan is not working, we have to start over. And I think, okay, there's an important point. I have to say that starting over is something that you resolve to when there are where there's no way that you can fix or modify what is already there. So if you can make
it's
changes,
not a shame. It's not a shame, for example, to end the stage and start over another stage. So yes,
of course not. But
for our community, there's a misunderstanding maybe of ending a stage and starting another stage. So this is the point that why we want to discuss this topic, for example.
Okay, so if you consider the social, or let's say the opinions of people seeing you doing whatever you're doing, it can be really, let's say, depressing and underestimating for you to even listen to these opinions. So I think it's more about, I mean, if we are going to take opinions, we can take more informed opinions from people who are well educated and well informed about how to make decisions. I mean, people whom you can trust to listen to, because unless it's a really big decision and it's a really big change and that you're starting over, I don't think that the community that you live in, or the society in general, can change or can impact what you're doing, or let you down, or be an obstacle in your way. So it's you get these shameful and these comments on whatever you are doing.
Yes, so starting maybe after failure, someone has failed, for example, in a project, someone has failed in a college, in his studies. So your advice maybe from where he's going to start, the steps that he's going to take, and something like that.
Okay. I think I've seen many. If we're talking about college, I've seen many students who turned the tables in terms of changing, like completely from failing their courses to going to 18s and 70s and
Yes.
80s% passing percentage. So I'm not gonna go extreme on you can do what you set your mind to, but in terms of studying or let's deal with studying first. I mean, in terms of studying, all they need is to set up a plan and set up a goal, which is to become better at studying. You don't have to aim for, like, I have to get 90s and 80s and all that. So all you need is just to aim that you have to become better and work hard. I think it's the good advice for everything.
Yes, and maybe the surroundings is another important factor. Let's say at the beginning you have mentioned something about the surroundings, the friends, and the one that you are going to be with. So I think the impact of the social surroundings is another important factor.
Yeah. A friend before told us that you are the average of the 5 people surrounding you. So I think to a certain degree this is correct.
You are the average
of the 5 people surrounding you. So
yes.
The 5 people surrounding you and that you see a lot impact you
yes.
majorly. So I think this is true to a good degree. And the people around us affect how we think, affect how we see life, how we whether we should work. I mean, if your friends are people who are not working on developing themselves as individuals or as professionals or even as students, there will be less motivation for you to do something about these things. So it's important that you are with people who are helping you go up, not down. So the surrounding is really important for, I think, for not just for starting new, but for anything. So especially for someone who wants to start new.
Yes. Before going to the first break, let's conclude this first part of our podcast for today with this question about the individual's career. In general, there are a lot of difficulties that face youth to start over after a failure in their first position after graduation, for example. Can we consider this as a failure or as a stage that they have to build on and start over again?
The second one. It's obviously just a stage. It's just a step. There are a lot of people who worked in more than 10 places that didn't work, and they started over and started another company or another business.
And to be honest, I am one of them. You may say that I have the experience. I am now more flexible. I have faced, let's say, sometimes that has frustrated me, but at the end I have found my passion, and I'm looking for the better, inshallah.
And I think that's the point that you just mentioned, is that with these steps, whenever you think that it didn't work, you learn something. And there are like hundreds of stories of people who like made it that it wasn't easy. They had to start all over again, one, two, or three, or four times. So, and I think in terms of business, I don't have any examples for Libyan companies starting over and starting with something starting new completely. But I think that we can take Nokia as an example. An electronics and cell phone companies that was on top, I think by the 90s and the start of the 2000s. But then because the world changed in terms of electronics and the product, the manufacturing of cell phone and smart cell phones, they dropped like completely from the top positions. But after I think in the late 2014 or 15, they came again with new products, with smart cell phones and all. So I think this can be an example that for businesses and companies that sometimes you have to start a completely new strategic plan for whether what you're providing is services or products.
Yes, and I think in my personal opinion, the example you have just mentioned, we can apply it on the individual lives in terms of starting over after a failure. Do not blame the surroundings. Do not blame the community. Sometimes the let's say you have something to improve. Just do not let's say be frustrated and believe in your abilities, and you are going to achieve what you want at the end. So yes, you have something to say.
Yeah, one last point. I think what we also have to consider is adoptability, that we have to always adopt to what is happening in the world and what is happening in our lives to change it. And I think that is one of the points that are under the umbrella of awareness and self-consciousness, how you are aware of your surrounding and yourself, and how you make the right decisions when needed.
Yes, so this is the first part of our podcast for today. We are going to have this break with the motivational short video from Wonder Film, and we will be back inshallah.
Yes. Thank you. For what? Making me go to school. I'm so mad at you sometimes, but I'm really happy to be here. You really are a wonder, Augie. You are a wonder.
Follow the day and reach for the sun.
Thank you, choir. That was beautiful. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, graduates. Final award this morning is the Henry Ward Beecher Medal, to honor students who have been notable or exemplary. Usually, it's a good works, a service award. But I came upon a passage that he wrote, which made me realize that good works come in many forms. Greatness, he wrote, lies not in being strong, but in the right using of strength. He or she is the greatest whose strength carries up the most hearts by the attraction of his own. Without further ado, This year, I am very proud to award the Henry Ward Beecher Medal to the student whose quiet strength has carried up the most hearts. So, will August Pullman please come up here to receive this award?
All I did was get through 5th grade, just like everyone else here.
Congratulations. That's for you.
Then again, maybe that's kind of the point. Maybe the truth is, I'm really not so ordinary. Maybe if we knew what other people were thinking, we'd know that no one's ordinary. And we all deserve a standing ovation, at least once in our lives. My friends do.
So, welcome back, our dear listeners, after this short break. At the beginning, or at the first part of our podcast and our episode for today, the 7th episode, we have highlighted a lot of points about the importance of starting over with our dearest friend Ali Abdullatif. So yes, Ali, satisfying the family, satisfying the surroundings in general. One of the opinions why individuals want to get constant, why they want to live an ordinary life, despite they don't want this this thing, but they live it anyway. So your advice for them?
Okay, I think this is a major problem that we face, and not just in starting new, because in whatever we're pursuing, I think the last thing we should ever think about is how this will make other people feel, whether it's your friends or family, because I think it's the time we lean towards selfishness when we come to what we want to do, whether for work or as a lifestyle. I believe that these characteristics are what make us unique. So we should do what makes us comfortable and,
yes, and happy.
What makes us feel like we are doing ourselves, and not pretending or just drawing an image, yes, for people to see, whether whomever they are ever. So I think it's an obstacle towards starting new in whatever you're doing. And you may notice this for students who are, for example, who are studying in a certain major, for example, medicine or engineering.
Yes.
And you can see that it's not the best major that, let's say, that is compatible with their with
Abilities.
interest.
Yes.
And even interest, let's say ability, for example. But it's not easy for them to change because
Of the pressure of the family.
pressure,
Yes.
social pressure,
Yes.
that I need to become something with a good title like doctor or engineer, and mostly family pressure. So there are like actually a lot of people who suffer from this because they're doing this because their family are pressuring them to how to say this in Arabic, in English, but to make them proud in that certain way.
Yes,
Because when it comes to pride, it's really complicated because there's always a gap between what you want to do, what your lifestyle is, and how your family wants you to have,
Yes.
and wants you to act like or work in or become.
At the end, you're going to live that life based on the decision that has taken by the family. You are going to suffer at the end. You are going to be alone at some stage. So yes, family pressure, I think, is another issue in relationships. We are seeing a lot of complicated relationships in our community based on marriage because of the decision of the family. And after that, we are going to see a lot of disasters, divorce, and
Yeah. Well, as for this topic, I think
it's another topic. But
yeah. But it I think it still includes
Yes.
starting new after
Yes.
what
After-
you mentioned.
yes,
Yeah. So it's honestly a more of tradition that
Yes.
has been taking place and that did not change with time in many areas. However, I think it's still not really bad, as even if not in Misrata, but in other cities. I think they're changing these traditions, and people are actually meeting people that they know that
yes,
not their family chose for them. But true, this is one of the reasons I think that a lot of marriages end up with a divorce, and following that, they will have to, and I think both of the parties, like the husband and the wife, will end up having to decide that they will have to start over, whether in that area, like in a relationship,
yes,
and just because that was a difficult time that they need to assess their psychological
Yes.
state, and whether they're good to go, because I think this is a major incident in life when you get a divorce.
yes.
So I think it's good that we
Maybe
mention
divorce is another chance for the two parties to evaluate the relationship. Maybe they will start over after this accident.
Yeah, it's not always the worst
Yes.
incident that happens to you. I mean, it's not shameful to get a
Yes.
divorce. It's nothing like that. But
It's shameful in our society, but it's
yeah,
not.
but again, so many things are shameful in our
Yeah.
society, aren't they? But the point is that when we go through like a big incident, whether it's divorce, for example, I think what we really need to assess is our mind state, psychological status after any mini tragedy like this one, like a mini tragedy, let's call it.
Yes.
And sometimes we need counseling, we need psychiatric support. We need because in order for us to either start over or even continue what we had been doing before that time, I think that we need to make certain decisions. And as you mentioned earlier, if you think that you have the will to make a change, you have the will to make or to start over, but you're not motivated enough, you can always revert to your friends, to the people that you think they would support you,
Yes.
not those who would let you down.
Yes, and this is the point that we want to discuss and highlight in our society, expressing our personal fears, expressing our opinions. It's kind of difficult. It's kind of hard, and sometimes we think that it's kind of impossible to convince the things that we have in our hearts and the things that we have in our mind, and in order to start over, to listen to others' opinion, to have an idea, to get something, to get a hint, for example. Yes.
And regarding that, I think it's true, but personally speaking, I have friends with whom I can share anything that happens.
And
whatever
it's
feeling
a good therapy.
I have.
It's a therapy.
It is sort of a therapy, yeah,
yes.
because repression is a very bad habit. That if you keep repressing thoughts, repressing feelings, from a psychological point of view.
Yes.
And just to say that I personally went through certain starting overs, and I think in all of them it was suggested and supported by my friends, because I always have a friend or two in the loop, informing them of whatever is happening and what they think, because
Very nice.
I know that in when you're overwhelmed, whether by work or by personal relationships, it's not easy for you to see the full picture of what's going on. So a second opinion is always good to evaluate your stance and
Yes.
what is happening around you. So
At the end, you are a human, and you have that lack. Let's say, if you are going to listen to others' opinion, who you are trust, they will add something. They will highlight a factor that you cannot see, for example.
yeah, and it's completely true, because and this again takes us to who are the people that surround us, because it's really important that you don't, for example, choose friends who are shallow, who are not, let's say, close to what your mindset and what your way of thinking is, because it's good to have people or to have discussion with people who have different opinions, but for people to understand what you're going through, the context and everything, I think it's good to choose who the people are and what their level of understanding, accepting, and knowledge that they have in order to open up and start conversations, especially when it's about your personal life.
Yes, if we are going to list some points at the end of this podcast about starting over, about the importance of taking this step, what are they going to be?
Okay, to summarize this in bullet points, I think that there is no shame, there is no social shame in starting over, whether starting over in a completely new line of work, starting over in terms of your lifestyle, changing the way you dress, changing the way the food you eat, changing the and okay, and just to clarify on changing
Yes.
the people that surround you. It's important that you really understand the level of bonding that you have with people around you and why you have this bond, because some people make the wrong decisions of cutting off relationships with people without considering the bonding that they have, whether they're friends or whatever. So what more points to add? And it's really important to have second opinions about
Yes.
what you're going to do, because people are, let's say, an ocean of knowledge that you haven't seen yet. So, and
Also, not listening maybe to the opinions that will
that are ill-informed.
hinder your path, for example.
Yeah, but that's the difference. It's you don't just avoid opinions that are against
Yes.
your plan or your decision, but listen to more informed opinions, more educated opinions, because sometimes someone tells you that this is a really bad decision, and this person may be correct to a certain point. So that's the difference of what opinion you're getting and from whom you're getting this opinion. So I think it's listening or focusing more on opinions that are more informed from more knowledgeable people in your life.
Yes. So this is our podcast for today. It was a discussion. It was a conversation. I'm not here to state my opinion, but it was kind of enjoyment conversation we have had. I don't know if you have enjoyed and
Really, I told you from the beginning.
Yes.
I am really interested in social trends.
Yes. So maybe you have a message to you want to. We have listed some points. Maybe you have a message not relating maybe to our topic. If you want to add anything.
No, I'll just add up to the today's topic. Just to stress that we should all have a starting new point every now and then, because it's not always going smooth, and when there is no place for modification, there's completely no shame in starting over, whether it's your line of work or your where you live. And can you please underline where you live? You can always change where you live.
Yes, so starting over in life means being willing to let go of what isn't working or what's holding you back when creating the life you want. Set realistic and attainable goals so that you can work toward your dreams. Make time for fun and leisure activities to bring meaning and enjoyment to your life. Finally, be flexible in your approach and willing to adjust your life when you need to. So this is the end of our podcast for today, the 7th episode of the Libyan Digest. So yes, stay safe and thank you. The Libyan Digest.
The Libyan Digest is brought to you by the Libyan Observer.